Andy Johnson, a couple of questions for you, but first, watch out for the measure monkeys. This is the wrong question that is often asked. How do you know if learning has occurred? Question is often asked by the measure monkeys. If it is not measured, learning has not occurred. Everything is measured. If you can't attach a number to it, it does not exist. Learning, intelligence, achievement all need a number. However, things like creativity, emotional intelligence, successful intelligence, intuition, these are all things that have led to the greatest human innovations. They can't be quantified, so therefore they must not exist. The measure monkeys insist on behavioral objectives. You can answer yes or no to that objective, lesson objective, and you use that to determine if the learning has occurred. We do not trust learners to learn. They have to be manipulated through rewards and punishments to learn. However, behavioral objectives limit the learner and they limit learning. They have to meet predefined outcomes. The teacher determines what learning is. This actually limits the possibilities of learning. Cannot go off on creative tangents. Each student uses his or her schema to learn. Thus, each student is learning something slightly different. Now, humans are not rats to be put in Skinner boxes. Use bad grades as punishment, good grades as that little pellet they get. However, the measure monkeys insist on using standardized tests. It's a form of progress monitoring. How do we know the students are learning? That's the question. How do we know if students are learning or students have learned? Now, the limited use of standardized tests is appropriate as long as it's not the only way we use to have students demonstrate their learning. A little ketchup is great. Eating a bowl of ketchup is not so great. Now, the measure monkeys, the paradigm used demonstrates a lack of knowledge and creativity. Can only conceive of learning in terms of numbers, cannot conceive of other ways for students to demonstrate their learning. Well, here's a thing about learning. Learning is a natural human condition. We are naturally hardwired to learn. We make sense of chaos. We do that naturally. This is what helped us evolve as a species. Humans will learn if it is interesting, relevant, and it recognizes how students learn. It's developmentally appropriate, and it affords spaces to pause and process things. That is understanding how human beings learn. And it recognizes the social nature of learning. Now, learning may not be exactly the same. They may learn things you may not want them to learn. This could be far beyond your silly little behavioral objectives. However, because of inappropriate lesson objectives or designs, the learning could also be these things, which are not so good. They learn that they cannot learn. They learn that they're a failure, or school is frustrating, or school is boring or irrelevant, or school is not where I learn. I learn real stuff other places. Students will learn if it is connected to real life experiences. So think about how you can connect learning to what middle school or high school kids are interested in, or elementary school kids are interested in. Now, not all students learn the same things in the same way at the same rate. This is called normal. You have some students on either end of the extreme. If you plan only for students at the middle, you'll frustrate them and frustrate them. So we have to create multi-level learning experiences. Human beings are not standardized products. You cannot standardize learning. So why would you think you could use a standardized achievement test to measure learning? Students are not products you put on a 13-year assembly line or conveyor belt. Here the same parts are added at the same places in the same ways. So the right question to ask is not how we know that learning has occurred. The question is, how do we know if teaching has occurred? If we focus only on the process, the teaching, if we focus on the process, the teaching part, the product or the learning is more likely to occur. If we focus on designing research-based multi-level learning experiences, that is the process, the product learning is more likely to occur. However, if we focus only on the outcome, the product, we ignore the most important part, what that teacher is doing, the process. Now think about it. Doctors, lawyers, and other professionals, they can be sued for malpractice, but not mal-outcome. The focus is on the practice. We should hold teachers to account in the same way. They should be held accountable for good teaching practice for the process. Schools and teachers should be held accountable for the practice, not the outcome. If we focus on good practice, that outcome will occur. So, how do we know if learning has occurred? More appropriately, how do we know if teaching has occurred?